airlines do you anticipate could be in difficulty? You mentioned there that you anticipate that there are going to be further collapses of airlines. Who do you think is at high risk?
I'd start looking at anyone who's not hedged. So, all big airlines will be hedged. We're 90% hedged this year, and we're about 35% hedged so far into next year. If you look at, Norwegian will be the biggest airline that people say, well, what's going to happen to Norwegian? And I'm not going to speculate on what does happen to Norwegian, but Norwegian were making a loss when oil was $42 a barrel. When oil is $85 a barrel, you're making a bigger loss. So there is a lot of speculation within the industry on what happens to Norwegian. Does it go bust, or does it become part of one of the bigger airline groups? Does it end up being a lot smaller? But I would principally say a lot of the smaller airlines, they can't hedge because of their size. So they would be greatly exposed, much more exposed than any big airline to the price of oil. They'll also be more exposed to the inflation on the price of pilots that would have existed in the past year. So I think that's primarily where I would look. So it'll be the smaller, more regional airlines first and foremost, and then you'd start to look at the bigger carriers with weaker balance sheets, with a more unhedged fuel position, who I think will get into difficulty in the next 12 months. That's something that when you stand back, that's actually good for the industry, because what's good for the industry is healthy airlines. Healthier, bigger airlines that don't go bust and leave customers stranded is the best thing for consumers. Primera went bust, and it went bust overnight. So similar to Monarch, a lot of its customers were stranded in places in Spain who couldn't get back, had to get back at their own cost, because Primera was not part of any government scheme in terms of supporting those customers getting back. So fewer, bigger, healthier airlines that don't go bust regardless of the price of fuel is the best outcome for consumers. And as I said, what we expect, the biggest trend in the next 12 months will be, where's fuel going to be at, where's the dollar going to be at against the euro, because that's going to force consolidation, it's going to force rationalisation, and weaker airlines will go out of business. They'll first start cutting capacity, but it's going to be the ones that are unhedged that are going to be the most exposed.